What is up everyone, Flatline here, and boy do I have a video for you guys today. As you can see, it's almost 30 minutes long, but do not worry, I will include plenty of video chapters so you can skip around easily. I stumbled upon this big cube in the Bowsprit Cape, and little did I know it was the start of a 2-hour long journey where I try to figure out all of these amazing puzzles that you are going to see today. Our first step will be putting these 3 batteries into place, or at least that's what I'm going to refer to them as. You'll want to be careful because they can damage you. You'll use the axiom force, which is your left stick in, to grab them. I found it was easiest for this first one that's above the cube to let go of it and then re-grab it once you're inside, and then move it into one of these open slots. You'll notice when it's in place, once it's lit up green, and that's telling you to use your force palm in order to put it down into place. The other one is right above it, so that one is easy. And the last one is also going to be inside the cube. We'll go ahead and grab this one and then get this into place. Once those 3 batteries are secured in place, you'll want to make your way back outside of the cube where you'll find the next piece of the puzzle floating above you in the sky. I found it was easiest to grab this piece while standing over on the cliff, and unfortunately you can't grab it by just using the axiom force. You will have to double jump followed by 3 force palms, which is your right stick in, then hit X or square if you are on PlayStation controller to activate your flight ability. Once in flight, you will use left stick in to activate axiom force and grab the puzzle piece. Sorry about that, you must have misunderstood me. I said double jump followed by 3 force palms, then hit X or square to start flying and left stick in to grab it with axiom. Okay, let's try this one more time, shall we? I said double jump, 3 force palms, X or square to fly, then left stick in to grab it. There we go, good job. Now that we have the puzzle piece, you're going to want to use right trigger in to push it away from you as far as you can. And then I choose to land on it. It is going to damage you, but it will save you from taking a ton of fall damage. I'll then use left stick in to grab it again, and we're just going to move it inside of the cube. Once inside the cube, you will find a spot to put it in over here in the corner. Now it can be a little finicky to line it up. However, just remember the rule that once it's lit up green, you are good to let go of it and then use your force palm to lock it into place. Once that's secure, you will notice that the cube starts to fly through the sky, which is really cool. I'd recommend that you hang out inside of the cube because that is where the next step of the puzzle will be. However, if you're feeling brave and want to venture outside like myself, make sure that you stay on the top side of the cube. This next part of the video will be for people who maybe ventured out here on accident, so if you stayed inside, go ahead and skip forward a minute till about 4:30. If you have ventured on the outside of the cube and are stuck, you'll just want to make your way over to the edge. Once on the edge, you'll want to make your way down to the bottom corner, and then you'll want to grab onto the cube itself and continue to make your way around the cube until you've reached the bottom half. Now that you are at the bottom half of the cube, you should start to notice a square opening. That is where we are going to re-enter the inside of the cube from. If you are starting to run out of stamina, you can simply eat some of your stamina food. I went into my inventory to access it, but I'm sure if you hold left on your D-pad and put the stamina food on your hotbar, you should be able to eat it without going into your inventory. It's also worth mentioning that this works while flying, which can help you cover more distance in the air. This next maneuver can be a little tricky. I personally ran out of options being at the top of it. You can try to make your way around to the bottom. The way I did this was by releasing and then re-grabbing on to the bottom of the cube and then making my way back up inside. From inside of the cube, you should see a square in one of the corners. If you do make contact with it, it will do a little bit of damage to you. We need to move this one into the same position as the other one is in across from it. In order to do so, we'll grab it with the axiom force, which is left stick in, and then hold our right trigger in to pull it towards us. You should hear a sound when it locks into place. Your last step will be to use your right stick in, which is force palm, in order to secure the device into place. The next 20 seconds or so will be us floating through the sky. I'm going to speed it up a little bit. If you don't care to see it, you can go ahead and fast forward to 5:34. This is going to be the end of step 1 of the puzzle, which I am going to consider Bowsprit Cape, and we will be now moving on to Path of Serpents. Once the cube has locked itself into place, you can start to make your way north towards the mysterious energy that you see on your map. You should then start to see a pressure plate on the ground. We're going to go ahead and stand on that, and that is going to start the process of the Path of Serpents. I also want to quickly mention that this is probably a good time to save your game, so go ahead and do so if you would like. We will then continue to make our way north, and this is going to be our next major step in the puzzle. This was a little tricky for me at first. I was trying to figure out what the interaction was between those lasers that we see in front of us and how to get those to stop so that we could obviously access the inside of the cave. After a little bit of exploration, I noticed when looking down at the platform from up above that this actually was another one of those electrical grids. So all we need to do is start to turn these platforms and get them lined up to get the power flowing where it needs to go. We will do this by using our left stick in, which is axiom force. You'll grab the platform, use your right stick, or just move your character around to turn the platform, and you want to make sure that each of these are lit up blue. Now this step is one that I had originally missed. If you want, you can go ahead and do it now. Grab the location that I have marked and rotate that to the left. Otherwise, we'll get to that in a second. I know I might be going a little fast, so feel free to pause the video at any time. The main thing we're trying to do here is get power to both sides. I had initially thought it was only the left side for some reason, which is why I had missed that one step before. Now that we have that connected, you can see that the power is restored to the left side. This is when I noticed that we had to do this for both the left and the right, and that is why I had missed that step earlier. This is where I will go back to this step. It's that platform up to the top here. If you've already done it earlier in the video, when I mentioned it, you don't need to do it. We'll just turn that one platform, and that will give us power to the right side. Once both sides have power, you should get a little cutscene, and that will also mean that all of the lasers have stopped moving, which should give us a clear path inside. You can actually climb up and then drop down in front of the pressure plate. However, I didn't notice this right away, so I just went ahead and used left stick to crouch and then walk underneath the first couple of lasers. The third laser will require you to jump over it. As you will see, I did not do a good job of jumping over it. However, it doesn't do too much damage. You'll then make your way to the front of the room where you see the pressure plate. I'm sure you could use your left stick in and attach to the center, followed by right stick to force palm. However, I just went ahead and climbed up on it and then used right stick in to force palm and activate. Congratulations, you have now completed puzzle number 2, Path of Serpents. Once this cutscene ends, you're going to want to make your way up top in order to collect that abyss artifact you just saw. This is the hole I was talking about earlier that I said you could drop down through instead of going underneath the lasers. I'm not actually sure if that's open before the pressure plate is pressed, but one of you should check that out and let me know in the comments. Once you have collected the abyss artifact, we are now ready to move on to our next puzzle. This next step took me a little bit to figure out, and it probably shouldn't have. You can see down below is where we picked up the abyss artifact. I'm trying to make my way over to the left side of the platform. There is a tree down below. I'm pretty sure you can just walk across it, so you definitely don't need to be doing all this crazy maneuvering that I'm doing. I'll show you the tree in a second that it looks like you can walk across on. It's going to start to come into view now. You can see it down to the right. I'm sure you can just walk across if you'd like. We just need to make our way over to the blue triangle that is on this other platform. So I'm going to go ahead and fly down to it. There are going to be a couple of these that we activate throughout the video, so I'm going to explain how to do this now. You're going to want to walk through this blue screen in the triangle and then hold left stick in to activate Axiom Force. Grab the circle that's in front of you and use right or left on your D-pad to rotate the device. Once it's in the correct position, you will notice a little cutscene and you have now activated the Abyss Gate. You should start to notice a bridge that forms in front of you. I do a little looking around to make sure I'm not missing anything, but the only thing that we really want to do here is just run across this bridge and make our way to the other side. This section can be a little hard to traverse. My biggest recommendation would probably be to do a double jump here, followed by 3 forest palms, and then fly as far as you can and land on one of the platforms. I just end up taking the first sections little by little, and then once I make it far enough, you'll see I go ahead and do a double jump, 2 forest palms, and then I'm able to make my way to the next platform. At this point, I would recommend hitting another quick save. That way you have it in case this next section does not work out the way that you intended it to. There is a tree in front of you that you can choose to climb up. I try to get as high as I can on it before activating my flight ability. You're just trying to make it to the closest platform in front of you. I'm sure you don't need to climb up the tree. You could probably start on the edge of the platform, do a couple double jumps, 3 forest palms, and then activate flight. Make your way to the bottom section here, wherever you can grab. I'm going to use a quick grapple, pull myself up, and fail because I suck. And then use a couple more forest palms, make it up on top of the platform. And once on top of the platform, you're going to notice a blue circle. You'll want to stand on that, and that is going to teleport you to the next platform. You are going to complete the challenge Crossroads of Uncertainty at the start of the next platform. However, there is still a lot left to that puzzle. Before we get into that, I'd recommend another quick save. In my opinion, the more saves the better when doing puzzles like this, in case something goes wrong along the way. I also quickly want to thank those of you who have watched this far, and as a little reward, I have added a hidden bonus puzzle where we get access to the refined Palmer Pill blueprint. When I first arrived on this platform and turned around, I noticed a walkout point which I thought was really interesting. So I decided to take a quick look, and what I saw were the platforms that we were on earlier, but one of the platforms intrigued me because I could tell we had not been to it yet. So I decided to take a quick trip out there. To start, you are going to want to double jump followed by 3 forest palms to get as high as you can before you start flying. If you didn't watch the part earlier where I talked about regenerating stamina while climbing or in flight, you simply go in your inventory and eat some of your stamina food. If the stamina food is already on your hotbar, you can hit right on your D-pad to eat it. As long as you have stamina food in your inventory, you can fly as far or climb as high as you'd like. Also, while we have some downtime on our long flight over there, I just want to quickly shout out all of you who have been liking and watching my videos. The amount of watch hours that I have, the likes, the comments, the new subscribers, it has been absolutely insane and overwhelming, and it is just the beginning. For those of you who do not know, I am returning after a year-long break, so to have all of this support welcome me back has been absolutely amazing, and I cannot wait for the future. As you get closer to the platform, you might have to pop in and out of your flight form a couple times in order to land on the platform the way you'd like. I wanted to land towards the center here, and then upon landing, you are going to notice a pleasant little surprise that I have for you. Go ahead and turn around and look over to the left-hand side here. You'll notice not only 3 refined Palmer pills, which you obviously want to pick up, but I also have a little special recipe for you, which is the refined Palmer pill recipe. Now that you have this, you can craft refined Palmer pills whenever you like. The next thing I did after reading the recipe was look to my right hand side and notice that there is another one of those triangles, but this one is not lit up blue, so that tells me that we have another puzzle on our hands. If you turn left from where we currently are or right from where we picked up the refined Palmer Pill blueprint, you'll notice an archway. And I had initially missed this, so I'm going to add a still frame and a red arrow. That's where we want to go down below there. It took me a little bit to figure this out, but once I do so, we'll get into the next step of this puzzle. Now that we've made our way down below, you'll notice a light shining on a square on the wall. That's telling us that something needs to be put there. The question is what? If we look down below our feet, you'll see something glowing, and off to the left-hand side is a pressure plate. After a quick scan around the room, I decided it was time to make our way to the room to our right, which is filled up with water. After making our way around the water, you'll see a bridge. You want to go across this bridge. I double back because I see a prompt on the lantern. Across this bridge is going to be an abyss nexus that you will want to activate so you can teleport back here. As of right now, I don't know why we would have to come back here, but it's always nice to have the option in case we do. We'll then make our way back across the bridge to the room filled up with water. You'll see one of those gadgets you use the nature snare on to drain the water, but it's too high right now in order to use it. I find a little chest off here to the side, nice added little bonus. Take a little quick peek around the room to make sure we're not missing anything, and then make our way down the stairs. All the way at the bottom of these stairs, you're going to find a little room that has a wall at the end of it. This wall is our next piece of the puzzle. You'll actually use force palm, right stick in on the middle of the wall. I like to double and triple check things, so you're going to notice me using force palm a couple extra times here. But one time is enough. Once you have the water flowing through the wall, you are good to make your way back up the stairs. The reason we want to make our way back up the stairs is because that's where the room with the water was, and now that that water is draining into the room below, it should allow us to access the gadget with Nature Snare that should help us drain the rest of the water. As you can see, it is no longer covered up by water. This means we can now press left stick and right stick in at the same time, followed by rotating our right stick in a circle to use Nature Snare. That will move this device up into the air, draining the rest of the water. Once you've made sure the device is all the way up, you can now make your way down into the lower room. Down in the room is where we will find the square piece that we are looking for. You'll want to grab it with axiom force using your left stick in, and then move it throughout the tunnels, all the way up the stairs, back into the room that we first started in. I found that it was easiest to stop on the stairs and then use right trigger to push the square forward into the room. You can then make your way into the room with the square, re-grab the square with axiom force, move it to where the light is on the wall, make sure that it is lit up green. Once it's highlighted in green, you can release. I then went ahead and re-grabbed it with axiom force, and then press right stick in to force palm it into place. Once it is in place, you should get a little cutscene. You'll see the pressure plate moving around on the wall. This means that we can now activate it. I'm going to use the axiom force on the middle, and then press right stick in, force palm the pressure plate, and it has now been activated. You should then see a little cutscene, and we have now completed Ascetic's Rest. Once the cutscene is finished, you'll want to go ahead and pick up your Abyss artifact. We now want to make our way back up top to where we first started on this platform. I'll use grapple to go ahead and do so. Once you have made your way up top, we can now head back over to the triangle from earlier. You will notice it is now blue. We can walk through it. The circle is going to pop up. We'll use our axiom force, followed by left or right on the D-pad, rotate it into place, and now this abyss gate has been activated. Once the cutscene has finished, make your way forward. You're going to see a little bridge that opens up. Make your way across that bridge, and then stand on the blue circle, which is going to teleport you to the next platform. After you are done teleporting, you are going to end up back inside of the cube. You're going to want to make your way outside of the cube through the opening in the top. When I get outside, I do a quick little look around just to make sure there is nothing that I missed or nothing new that popped up, and it doesn't look like there is. So we'll keep making our way forward, where we will see another pressure plate. You're going to want to go ahead and stand on top of that. Once it has been activated, we can make our way forward, and you should notice that this is where we did the Path of the Serpents puzzle. There actually isn't anything left for us to do on this platform. The only thing we'll want to do at this point is to make our way back up top. And the reason we want to make our way back up top is we're going to go back across the bridge that leads us to the Crossroads of Uncertainty, and we are going to finish the Crossroads of Uncertainty puzzle. I have sped this part up as it is something that we have already gone over. You'll want to make your way across the moving platform bridge, up onto the tree, and back across to the other platform where you previously teleported. After I run a quick little circle around this, and then we get through the teleportation screen, you're going to notice that we end up on the platform that we previously took a little detour on before, where we went and did the secret hidden puzzle. When you get to this platform, you are definitely going to want to save, as this is going to be your last opportunity to do so. Any future saves during this puzzle will teleport you back to this spot regardless of where you saved. That is why I'm referring to this as the most unforgiving puzzle. You'll then want to use Axiom Force to activate the button on the ground. Once it turns blue, the wind turbines have been activated. You then want to begin flying through each of the blue circles, using the wind turbines when needed to regather momentum and propel yourself higher into the air. After this last turbine, you are going to notice another one of those buttons on the wall. We are going to go ahead and use the same method that we used last time. You'll want to make your way all the way up on top of this platform. You'll see a little walkout point here. This will give us a good view of the button. You'll use your Axiom Force left stick in to hit the very center, which will then activate the next few wind turbines, and then we are going to repeat the same process as before, flying through each of the blue circles. When you land on this platform, you're going to want to activate this button the same way as before, using the Axiom Force. This will turn on the next few wind turbines again, and we are going to repeat this same process. You'll notice with this circle and the last one that I didn't really have the momentum to get through them cleanly. If that happens to you, just take a quick pit stop at these wind turbines. You can see how much momentum they give you, and the last thing you want is to fall all the way down trying to look cool and then have to restart. If you also happen to overshoot like this, just do a quick U-turn and hit the closest wind turbine if needed. You then want to use this next big wind turbine to repeat the same process as before, going through the blue circles. You don't have to land on it directly like I did. You could land on the platforms next to it first and then use the big turbine. After you go through that blue circle, you will want to land on this platform. You're using Axiom Force once again to activate the button on the ground. Walk out onto the lookout point and look over to your left hand side. You will notice another blue circle. I then only use a double jump here because we have this wind turbine close in front of us. This one is a little tricky. As you'll see, there are lasers. If you happen to make contact with these lasers while in the air, it will shock you and knock you out of flight form, so be very careful. After this blue circle, you're going to see a wall that you want to grab onto. If you have enough speed or height to land right on top here, go ahead and do so. You'll see another blue circle afterwards. Go ahead and fly through that one, followed by the wind turbine if you need it, and then another blue circle. After this circle, there is going to be another wind turbine that I suggest using. This platform is one that most people are going to want to land on. You'll see the wind turbines there. You could try to hit them in one go if you want, but I would suggest landing first, getting your bearings, and then going back into flight form, use the wind turbines, and then land on the front of this next platform. You're going to see one more button that we are going to activate using axiom force, which will then power on this turbine on the front of the platform. I do a quick little look around to make sure I'm heading in the right direction. Once I'm sure that we are, I see the wind turbines out front. I'm going to use those to gain some needed momentum. Go ahead and hit this last wind turbine then to get some much needed height, as we have to travel a long distance. These circles like this, I should have mentioned, you don't need to go through the center of. And this one in particular was actually tripping me up, because you'll notice when you go through it, it turns off for some reason. The only thing you have to do here is to land on this platform, and you're going to notice one last pressure plate that we have to push. For some reason, I was really struggling to activate this pressure plate using the axiom force plus force palm combo. I definitely recommend using it if it works for you. It could have been because I was missing the very center of the plate there. But if it doesn't work for you, you're going to have to climb up onto the pressure plate and activate it with the right stick in force palm. I highly recommend using the left trigger or L2 if you're on PlayStation controller to resist while using the force palm, because if you do not, you'll see it launch my character backwards, and falling off would have really sucked. Once you have received the Abyss artifact, your last step will be to activate the Abyss gate in front of you, which we've already done a few times in this video. You'll simply just walk through the blue triangle, use the axiom force to grab this circle in front of you, and then use left or right on your D-pad in order to rotate it until it activates the Abyss gate. I will say I got a message, and some of you will too, that says this area cannot currently be accessed, but do not worry, you are just saving yourself time down the road. I believe this area is tied to a main story quest, and when you get to that point in the main story, this will all already be done. I had so much fun figuring out all these puzzles, and I really hope this video helped you guys. If it did, please make sure to leave a like, and until next time, peace out.